So I'm now going to present questions 1. How much impact do managers actually have on an organization's success or failure? The answer of this question, based on omnipotent view, manager is directly responsible for the success and failure of the organization. Top CEOs and head football coaches will be more likely to be held accountable for the entire organization outcome. For example, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, will always make decisions to solve all the problems faced in order to maintain the stability of the company in the market. Next, lower-level managers are responsible for the outcomes in their respective departments. Managers set the goals of the organization and are responsible for making major success-oriented decisions. If the goals and decisions that managers choose are correct, then the organization should thrive. The symbolic view is a counterpart to omnipotent view. An organization's success or failure can be attributed to factors in the external environment, such as competition, economic conditions, or governmental influences. Next, management decisions are often flawed and poorly implemented due to factors beyond their direct control. Considering the random and ambiguous situation managers face, they should not be held responsible for organizational performance. Question 2. Why do managers need an understanding of what happens outside their organization? Give example of how changes in the external environment affect their job. External environment can predict the trends and the needs of customers, so that managers need an understanding of what happens outside the organization so that they are able to interpret consumer trends and apply those insights to the company. These are the external environment factors that will affect managers' job. First one is economic component, which include interest rate, inflation, changes in disposable income, stock market fluctuation, and business cycle stages. Second, demographic component, which include age, race, gender, education level, geographic location, income, and family composition. Third one, technological component, which include scientific or industrial innovations. The fourth one will be social cultural component, which includes values, attitudes, trends, traditions, lifestyle, belief, taste, and patterns of behavior. The last one will be political or legal component. Include federal, state, local laws, laws of other countries, and global laws. Moving on to question 3. How has the change company affected what managers do? Find 2 or 3 examples in current business periodicals of activities and practices that organizations are using. Discuss them in the light of the change environment. The economic component include interest rate, inflation, changes in disposable income, stock market fluctuation, and business cycle stage. The manager's job will become more challenging due to the changed economy, and they need to figure out solutions to handle the problem. These are the examples in current business periodicals of activities and practices that organizations are using. First example is Proton. Proton improves its quality and branding and keep its eyes on the competitors, such as Produa, to prevent the competitors from overstep. The second example is Domino Pizza. During recession, Domino's sparked by a consumer survey that overhauled its recipe and made a profit more than double.
Followed by question 2-4, why is it important for managers to pay attention to demographic trends and also shifts? Demography can be defined as a statistical study of the changing structure of human population through birth, death, income, educational background, and etc. The study is much related to sociology study which constrain the managers in terms of their decision making or while they are brainstorming the new ideas. The reason why managers should alert with the demographic changes is because customer favor or demand are varying from time to time. When they become older, their needs towards certain products has changed. Consequently, managers have to come up with new ideas on what product should be produced and how much it needs to be produced. Internally, the change of demography will influence the workforce in a company. The company may taking in more and more new employees as the seniors started to retire at an old age. Therefore, different approach must be introduced to fit the personality of the youngster. For example, Generation X, which born around 1965 to 1980, is on their verge on retirement, and the vacant is going to replace by the millennials workforce. Therefore, a company needs to use a new nature of work, such as IT-intensive tasks, to increase the productivity of the workers. Nevertheless, the product and services provided by the company may convert to those in need for the elderly, such as healthcare products and also services.
Next question 2-5. Business operate in the external environment. Discuss whether manager experience environmental stability in their business operation. In this context, provide local examples of environmental stability and environmental uncertainty. Business usually operate in an external environment that constrains and challenges managers. Apart from constraints posed by its impacts on jobs, employment, and the various stakeholder relations that exist between an organization and its external constituencies, and environmental uncertainty is usually present. However, in stable environment, change is slow. Therefore, managers have time to monitor and respond to changes in elaborate manner. Example for environmental stability, Malaysian governments have been successfully implementing and conducting business policies. This well-developed financial sector of Malaysia supports all the investors. Any business license Malaysia-related problems are resolved quickly by both local authorities and federal and state government. Liberal policies continue in good and bad times, encourage investment and achieve economic success. Example for environmental uncertainty. Environmental uncertainty refers to the degree of change and complexity in an organization's environment. So, for example, a new technology like artificial intelligence technology could cause a rise in unemployment. The performance for business now is uncertain because the manager never know what will happen next for the change in technologies.
Alright guys, so after discussing the responsibility of a manager having in determining an organization's success or failure, we shall now proceed to the next question. So the next question is asking on our opinion regarding the statement, business are built on relationship and the implication of managing the business external environment. From my point of view, I totally agree with the statement, business are built on relationship. So first thing first, managers in an organization should realize that knowing clearly what the external environment is will affect in maintaining a good relationship with the stakeholders of the company. So this is because an organization's operates depends on the external environment because the sources of input can be obtained from it and also the reaction of the stakeholders regarding the decision made by the company since they are the recipients of the output. Regarding the statement in the questions, business are built on relationship, we can say that having a good relationship with the stakeholders of the company can always lead to enhanced predictability of the dynamic environmental changes happen nowadays. Secondly, more successful innovation could be made through the sharing of ideas among each other. Thirdly, Greater degrees of trust among stakeholders could be formed, which can avoid any misunderstanding in the business operation. And last but not least, business can be more flexible in acting when the external environment is changing. Moving on to the next part of the questions, managing the external environment is very important as the external environment composed of all the outside factors that could influence the operation of a business either in a good way or bad way. So, managing well the external environment has been proven to have a good impact on the performance of business, and managers of a company are strongly suggested to consider the interests of all stakeholders beforehand when they make any decision to remain as a high-performing company in the market.
For question 7, we need to discuss why organization culture plays a major role in business operation and employees' behaviors, and we have to explain its impact on CEOs, managers, and employees. To answer this question, first we need to know what is organization culture. Now, organization culture is the shared value, principles, traditions, and ways of doing things that influence the way the members of an organization act. It is very important as organization culture shapes the organization's personality and the way organization members work. For example, Apple's company focuses on product innovation. So the company takes initiative in developing new product and employees' growth behaviors to support that goal. Now, how do organizational culture affects manager? Okay, as we know, organizational culture affects manager in two primary ways. First, it affects on what employees do and how they behave. And second, the effects on what managers do as they plan, organize, lead, and control. After discussing how the organization culture affects the managers, we'll now move on to how culture affects employees, as we can say that only the strong culture affects the employees. For your information, strong culture is the cultures in which the key values are deeply held and widely spread. Strong culture is very important as the more employees accept the organization key values, the greater commitment they will give to those values. Now, the stronger a culture becomes, the more it affects what employees do and the way managers plan, organize, lead, and control. For example, the co-founder of Apple company, Steve Jobs, had instilled the core values of product innovation and customer service in all employees. So, we can say that the employees in Apple company always work with full enthusiasm because they are influenced by the strong culture. Lastly, question 2-8. What are the steps by which organization culture evolves over time? As we know, an organization culture reflects the vision or mission of its founder. Founder generates opportunities to engage in storytelling, whereby narrative tales of significant events or people are shared. Founders project an image of what the organization should be and what its values are, which in turn to lead the employees engaging in corporate rituals. This repetitive sequence of activities express and reinforce important organizational values and goals. Other than that, founders can impose their vision on employees because of the new organization's small size. They may create material symbols or artifacts such as layout facilities, dress code, and size of office, and the material perks provide to executive, franchisee, and etc. Organization members create a shared history that binds them into a community and reminds them of who we are. This facilitated by companies and unique terms to describe equipment, key personnel, customers, suppliers, processes, and product. Changes in these general factors map the evaluation of organization culture.